They loaded their weapons in pre-dawn darkness. Doug Brown wore a ball cap with the words, "If it flies, it dies."
Well, it's not every day you get to come downtown and hunt. Only you get to shop downtown. We get to come down here and kill something today.
Christmas lights twinkled amidst the blast of the shotguns. Animal rights activists held signs of protest.
It's sad, it's appalling that the city of Dixon and their elected officials would do this when we offered so many alternatives.
Dawn brightened the sky, illuminating the pigeons for the gunmen on the street.
I've shot several, enjoyed it. We've gotten rid of several pigeons. We've helped the city control their pigeon problem.
Most of the folks wielding shotguns today were men, most but not all. Others, too young to shoot, came to watch. This ambulance carried a man wounded in a deer hunting accident. No casualties were reported in the pigeon shoot, except to downtown business lights. Dixon scheduled its pigeon hunt this morning from 6 until 9, but by 7 o'clock, gunfire had become pretty sporadic, perhaps because there weren't very many pigeons left alive. At least one pigeon managed to elude the line of fire of the shoot, which left downtown streets strewn with shell casings and carcasses. Several gunmen declared the shoot a success and suggested the city make it an annual event to control the pesky birds.
It shows that the city and the community has taken the matter into their hands to do as we think best, to kill the pigeons by shooting them.
But the folks carrying signs believe today's event is not about pest control, but rather about entertainment for hunters. And the folks carrying the guns probably would not argue with that. Jim Melchiori, Channel 2 News, Dixon.
Enough is enough. This is enough. We're going to decide the President of the United States here in Crystal City at around 12:30 today.
2 weeks after Election Day.
Yeah, I voted.
Crystal City is voting again.
If anything, it's teaching us something.
The ballots cast at Gordon's Drive-In.
Okay, I tell you what, we're really busy. You might want to give us about 10 or 15 minutes.
Are easy to read.
Rule number 1 is you need to mark the ballot within the circle with a special ballot marker.
The mock election
That big red X in there.
is serious business in the eyes of people who take voting seriously.
I read it 3 times before I make my vote.
The polls are closed at 12:30 p.m. Wednesday. Okay, here we go. We're going to open the box. 1 for Bush, 1 for Gore. George Bush, Al Gore, Al Gore, George Bush.
What if it's a tie?
Yeah.
Well, then we'll have 2 presidents.
Invalid ballot. I'm going to have to disqualify this ballot because we have George Bush X there, and then they put a no through it, and then they voted for Al Gore, so we're going to have to disqualify that ballot.
The true intent of that. What was the true intent?
How would you call that ballot?
I think he'd want to vote for Gore, but made a bad mistake.
I think so.
The only real
I would
challenge
think so too.
is trying not to laugh.
Hey, Greg, he originally voted for George Bush. He wrote no on it clearly. His intention was that he wanted to
vote for Bush, the way I see it.
The final count, Gore 113, Bush 111.
mark only one candidate because we want to know who gets the most votes.
3 votes, enough to swing the entire election, are thrown out.
I'd say that we've got about the same consensus that has come nationwide.
Every vote counts, even if they're not real. In Crystal City, Craig Cheatham, News 4, St. Louis.
Yes, I'm really excited. I can't wait.
At the Schloss home,
I usually just wear my hair in a ponytail to school.
13-year-old Whitney has commandeered.
I always hairspray it a lot because it comes out.
The bathroom.
A little, because this is my first one.
Only for weddings and Easter and stuff.
First one for Jacob Ackerman, too.
I'm going to the senior prom.
We're going to have a king and queen.
I don't think most people will be as dressed up as I am.
I'm pretty sure I know what is going to happen and everything, but I'm not exactly for sure.
Just put on pants, shirt, or undershirt than my regular shirt.
This is my skirt, and these are my shoes. I'll wait and put those on here.
And then tie, jacket.
It looks a little long, but I have my heeled shoes, and this is what I'm gonna look like when I go.
I can't tie a tie, so I had to have them tie for me.
They look so much older when they're dressed up. They look like little gentlemen, all grown up on me.
Yeah,
so.
she can dress like $1 million.
They're going to the 11th annual senior prom. But Whitney won't be dancing with Jacob.
I'm not exactly for sure who I should ask. So.
She'll be dancing with the seniors.
Would you like to dance with me?
These are the seniors. For one night, they forget the aches and pains of age and dance with the agility of youth.
What kind of activities did you do when you were at the prom?
Well, I danced. What else?
They hang on each other. They're out there giving it this, you know, bouncing around.
Well, it's just a wonderful evening, and I think the kids are just wonderful. They just wait on us hand and foot.
We hope that they learn to enjoy each other and see how the goodness in each. The seniors are so much fun, and the kids are so much fun. They need to know each other and learn from each other.
The kids crown a king and queen and give the seniors the royal treatment. This is their reward.
It feels really good because, I mean, we've worked so hard to do such a good job, and when we see that smile, it's kind of like a little bit of being repaid back. Feels good.
For Whitney Schloss, her senior prom was a lesson that there's not much separating the juniors from the seniors.
You're all right, you'll learn.
The following is a special presentation of KMOV TV, Channel 4.
Everybody's got to have industry and business and all the rest of it, but life is not just made up of those things. There's got to be beauty, and here there's beauty and art.
For more than 120 years, Forest Park has given us beauty and peace, a green retreat for everyone.
Forest Park has always been a destination for everybody. Everybody was welcome.
It's a part of everybody's life. And I don't know that there's any place else around that serves that function for everybody in the St. Louis community.
Through the generations, the Cumberland Mountains have provided a haven for natural beauty. And through the generations, these same mountains provided a haven for one of man's worst-kept secrets. Cockfighting in Tennessee.
They're never going to stop chicken fight. People just won't quit. He's plumage good. He got good feathers on him.
By his own admission, Charlie Sawmill Hodge has fought gamecocks in the shadows of the Cumberland Mountains for nearly 40 years. It's become a family tradition.
I love to fight them, love to fool with them, grow, you know, just out there looking at them. Women like to grow flowers, I like to grow chickens.
Currently, Sawmill is growing and training some 25 gamecocks, along with a few dozen brood hens and stags, or young roosters. Sawmill says the training is just helping nature along.
It's bred into them to kill, and you just can't stop them from fighting, so why not make a sport out of it?
In Tennessee, raising gamecocks is not illegal. Fighting them is. And in Sawmill Hodge's home, you can find plenty of proof of his legendary success as a cockfighter. Trophy after trophy won in at least half a dozen Tennessee counties, all won at the risk of a fine and jail time.
I've been caught how many times? 15 or 20 times. I won't never quit. They'd make it $10,000. I'll still go fight chickens. I'll meet them in the woods, in the strip pits, behind the house. We'll sneak around and fight them. They're going to be fought. There's no stopping it.
The Hermitage, home of Andrew Jackson, pioneer, president, and cockfighter. Old Hickory used to raise his gamecocks here and fight them just down the road at the Nashville Inn. Jackson even wrote articles advising his fellow cockfighters on what to give to their rooster prior to fight time: sweet milk, dried Indian corn, and pickled beef. Other great Americans said to enjoy cockfighting: Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, and the father of our country, George Washington.
All the great people of the country fought game fowl. Now, society decided they didn't want nothing more to do with it.
For many Tennesseans, cockfighting is a tradition best forgotten. For Sawmill, it's a tradition passed along to the next generation.
He's quick, he's got all kinds of power, and he gets out and gets over a chicken. He can cut one to death.
Sawmill's 18-year-old son, Wayne, shares his father's passion for cockfighting.
You're not knowing which chicken's going to win. You're just hoping yours is going to go out there and do the best.
Sawmill's hopeful that his 4-year-old nephew, Jesse, will also follow in the Hodge family tradition. The Cumberland Mountains shelter a whole community of cockfighters. Sawmill looks upon that community as an extended family.
Say my mother got sick, we go to a cockfight, everybody makes up money to help. You know, it's just everybody's like a family.
Sawmill says even the gamecocks themselves have a place in that family.
It's almost like losing a member of your family to lose one.
The Cumberland Mountains, a haven for beauty and tradition. Like it or not, cockfighting is a part of that tradition, a tradition passed from one generation to the next by men like Sawmill Hodge.
They'll be fighting down there tomorrow, next week. They won't never stop it.
Art Sassing, Channel.
Does everybody have their syllabus?
Carrie Morgan is an occupational therapist.
My guest lecturer
who helps people with disabilities.
How do you go about getting them technology?
Make it in the world.
My parents find it pretty humorous that I'm a therapist because I grew up with a lot of therapy to help people with disabilities.
The day after her first birthday, a virus paralyzed Morgan by attacking her spine.
And you needed a hospital chair.
By grade school, she was fed up with therapy.
They can't turn because they don't have the range of motion.
Now, it's her mission.
Definitely some personal perspective there that I think helps me out.
So what's this mild-mannered instructor do for fun? She plays murder ball.
I'm not much of a trash talker, but there is trash out there.
Morgan is one of only 12 women in the United States Quad Rugby Association. The game is affectionately called murder ball.
Like bumper cars for wheelchairs. You get to run into people as hard as you want, and it's okay.
She describes herself as small but mighty. Morgan has been known to bounce off of some of the bigger competitors during a clash, but on this tattoo-clad, male-dominated team,
Andy, don't let him come in!
She's earned herself a reputation as the team captain.
I need some help! I do have a nickname. They call me the Punisher. Get on the court as a female, and I'm fairly small compared to the rest of the players, and you get a lot of, oh, don't hit the girl, and, you know, she's not really very good, they're going to give the ball to somebody else, and I'm the ball handler on the team, so if you don't hit me, I'm the scorer. So after I score about 2 or 3 times, all of a sudden, get her, stop her, and so it changes pretty quick.
Wheelchair rugby classifies players based on the weakness in their hands and trunk. Morgan's been playing murder ball for 4 years and is one of the highest classified players on her team.
You know, it's important to have the skill, but it's really a game of technique and knowing it and being smart about it, and that's the part of the game that I'm trying to develop a little bit.
The Punisher and the St. Louis Rugby Rams compete across the country. She hopes her determination, or what her mom calls her stubbornness, will one day earn her a spot as the first female on the national team. Lisa Monzo, News 4 St. Louis.
Dear Matthew, the other day you asked me a really tough question. You said, Dad, this nerd wants to sit next to me at school. Well, nobody likes this guy, neither do I. So what do you do when someone who's out of it wants to be your friend? Well, Matthew, there are a lot of ways to be a friend to someone without being a bosom buddy. Even an occasional act of kindness, as I've seen it over the years, can change the way a person feels about life. I'm thinking about Mary, a girl who was in my class a long time ago. But let me tell you the story. When I was in the 6th grade, I guess you could say that I was an All-American. I was smart, athletic, witty, handsome, especially with a Vaseline wave of hair sweeping back from my forehead. And I was incredibly nice. Well, things really went downhill in junior high, but for this one year at least, I had everything, or I thought it did. Unfortunately, I also had Ms. Owens for an assistant teacher. Ms. Owens was a college girl who was always practicing on us. She helped old Mr. Jenkins, our teacher.
Quiet, people.
Ms. Owens also went to our church. She knew that even though I was smart and incredibly nice, that there was a thing or two that I could still work on. One of the things you were expected to do in grade school was to learn to dance, square dance of all things. I hated it. But every time we went to work on our square dancing, we did this really terrible thing. I mean it when I say it was terrible. And I hope this kind of thing isn't done anymore.
Okay, boys, line up.
The boys would all line up at the door of our classroom, and then one at a time, each boy would pick a girl to be his partner.
I picked Megan.
The girls all sat in their desks. And as they were chosen, they'd get up and join the snot-nosed kid who'd honored them with his favor.
I picked Adrian.
Believe me, the boys didn't like it, and I didn't either, but think about wanting to be picked. Think about seeing who was going to get picked before you. Or think about worrying that you'd get picked by someone you couldn't stand.
Tracy.
Think about worrying whether you were going to get picked at all. Think if you were Mary. She was a girl who sat up at the front, near the right-hand side. She wasn't pretty. She wasn't very smart. She wasn't witty, but she was nice. But that wasn't enough in those days. And Mary certainly wasn't athletic. In fact, she'd had polio or something when she was small, and one of her arms was drawn up, and she had a bad leg. And to finish it off, she was fat.
I choose Mary.
Bye. Bye.
This is where Ms. Owens comes in.
Dan, can I talk to you?
Ms. Owens took me aside one day and said, Dan, next time we have square dancing, I want you to choose Mary.
Or for you to pick Mary?
Well, she may well have told me to fly to Mars. It was an idea that was so inconceivable that I could barely hold it in my head. You mean pick someone other than the best, the prettiest, most popular when my turn came? That seemed like breaking a law of nature or something. It was like purposely trading a Mickey Mantle card for an Andy Pafko. I mean, who wants Pafko when you can have Mantle? And who would pick Mary when there was Linda or Shelley or even Doreen?
I want you to pick Mary.
And then Ms. Owens did a really rotten thing. She told me that it was the Christian thing to do. Well, I knew immediately that I was doomed.
I think it'd make her feel a lot
I was doomed because I knew that she was right. It was exactly the kind of thing that Jesus would have done. And I was surprised, in fact, that I hadn't seen it on a Sunday school flannel board somewhere. Jesus choosing the lame girl for the yeshiva dance. But it was bound to be in the Bible somewhere. And so I agonized about it. Choosing Mary would go against all the coolness that I'd accumulated. It wasn't smart. It wasn't witty. Maybe it was nice, but even I didn't want to be that nice. So the day came when we were supposed to square dance again. And Mr. Jenkins told Ms. Owens to go up to the cafeteria and set up, and then he lined us boys up by the door. Now, it was worse than you'd think. If God really loved me, I thought,
he'll make me last. Oh God, how I wanted to be last. Then picking Mary won't cause any stir. I've done the right thing, and it won't have cost me anything at all. Well, you can guess where I was instead. For whatever reason, Mr. Jenkins made me first in line. I wondered if Ms. Owens had been talking to him. But there I was, at the front, my heart pounding, and now I knew how some of the girls must have felt. Their faces were all turned toward me. Some were smiling. I looked at Mary, and I saw that she was half turned to the back of the room. Her face was staring down at the desk. And Mr. Jenkins said, "Okay, Dan, choose your partner." I remember feeling very, very far away, and I heard my voice say,
I choose
Mary.
Mary.
Never has reluctant virtue been so rewarded. And I still see her face undimmed in my memory. She lifted her head. Her face was reddened with pleasure and surprise and embarrassment all at once. And I think it was the most genuine look of delight and pride that I've ever seen before or since. It was so pure that I had to look away because I knew I didn't deserve it. Mary came and took my arm as she'd been instructed, and she walked beside me, bad leg and all, just like a princess. When we walked into the cafeteria, Ms. Owens was already thumping out a march on the piano. She looked over at Mary and at me coming at the head of the line, and she smiled real big, but with no surprise at all, like she knew all along. Linda and Shelley came up to me afterwards and said, in a catty kind of way, "Ms. Owens made you do that, didn't she?" I said, "No," and I wasn't lying. Ms. Owens didn't make me do it at all. She'd asked me to do it. She had told me I should, but I had chosen Mary, and I was glad. Mary is my age now. I never saw her after that year. I don't know what her life's been like or what she's been doing, but I'd like to think that she has a fond memory of at least one day in the 6th grade long ago. Matthew, I'll tell you something. I know that I still remember that day, and I always will. Love, Dad.
go, baby, all the way. Follow it.